Welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about Water for Elephants by Sarah Gruen. This is one of my all-time favorite books. I absolutely love it, and I wanted to also share with you a fun thing that I do to keep track of the books that I read. So we'll talk about that after we talk about Water for Elephants. So I read Water for Elephants on my Kindle. I don't own a physical version of it all. I've always read it on my Kindle, but it's very enjoyable to me. The premise of the book is that the main character, Jacob, is in his final semester, final days, about ready to take his final exam for vet school when he gets the tragic news that his parents were killed in a car accident in his hometown. His whole plan leading up to this point was to graduate vet school and then go and practice as a vet with his dad in his dad's business, his vet practice. With this tragic accident happening, his whole plan is completely thrown out the window. He runs away from vet school and crashes onto a train, not knowing what it is or what's going to happen. He just jumps on for safety, I suppose. And the next morning, or when he jumps on, he is greeted by a bunch of burly, rough men who kind of frighten him, and they let him get on, and he's not sure what's going to happen, but he knows that he can at least be here for a moment. The next morning, he realizes that he's on a circus. He's jumped the train of a circus. Meet Zippy! Isn't she precious? But, so he's on a circus. One of the other guys that was in the train car with him the night before was Camel, and he is helping him to get work on the circus. So things progress, and once it's found out that he is a vet, they're really excited to have him, and they want him to stay and take care of all of the animals, be the vet for the show. And this goes relatively well for a little while, but then he realizes that there are kind of a lot of bad things happening that not everyone is supposed to know about, but he's privileged to this because he's the vet and he gets in with the top dogs of the circus, and he kind of gets both aspects because August, Uncle Al, Marlena are the top performers, the big bosses of the show, and he's in with them, but he's also in with his bunkmate, which is Walter, and with Camel and Earl and Blackie. Not really Blackie, but they are on the lower totem pole. So there is a lot going on that kind of frightens Jacob, as time progresses. He has to come up with a plan. What's he going to do? There's love, there's all kinds of scandal, and so throughout the course of the book you just get completely immersed in the circus life, and I love it. I love the circus life, the train circus life. I feel like it's just such a unique experience. The book has pictures of real life train circuses as well. The book also does a back and forth in time between Jacob in the time where he's on the train circus in this summer with the circus that he didn't know he was going to be on, and then also into Jacob in his really old age of being in a nursing home, and he's reminiscing back, and so it just goes back and forth between those two perspectives. So there's a lot that happens. It's a jam-packed book full of stuff. So with that being said, I wanted to compare it to the movie and do just a few different things about the differences between the book and the movie, because I feel like of all the books that get made into movies, I think this was probably the one that I was most let down by. I feel like they really left out a ton of information, and I know that you can't take a book and include every little thing, especially when there was so much in this book, and make it into a movie, because it would just be too much. But I just feel like there was so much taken out, all kinds of important details that just got left out. One of the biggest ones I felt like should have been incorporated was Uncle Al's character. They left Uncle Al out of the whole movie, and I feel like he played such a key role of being the owner of the circus that I couldn't even believe that they had left him out, because he ran the whole thing. He made all the decisions. He was the one that pushed for all the bad things that happened. He was the one that initiated all kinds of turmoil within all of the circus workers and performers. And so I just couldn't understand why they left him out. I understand that maybe they wanted to just make August be Uncle Al, but it just was so different. I couldn't figure it out. I could not figure out why they wouldn't just have Uncle Al be a character in the movie as well, because of his importance in the book. I just feel like he held a huge importance that they left out. One of the other details was that they changed the structure of how the story is told, and I think that this was necessary for transferring the book to a movie. So in the book, Jacob at the very end gets to go to a circus. So the whole book of him being in the nursing home is leading up to a circus that came to town and was right across from the nursing home that he's in, and the whole time it's leading up to, like, he's preparing to go, and so while he's preparing to go, he's reminiscing about it. But in the movie, they changed it to him starting out at the circus, and then he's retelling the story to someone there. And that wasn't as big of a deal for me, because I feel like it was an easy change. It didn't take away from the integrity of the book, but it was a big change, because I feel like him in his old age, that was a huge, like, question mark of, is he going to be able to go, like, is he going to be able to go back to his roots? And you already find out that he's there in the movie. So those were just a few of the differences that I wanted to talk about, and how it changed. And I definitely loved the book and mildly liked the movie. So a little bit of a bummer, but. And then my final thing is I wanted to share with you how I keep track of recording my books. So I have this notebook that I've had since I was, like, I don't know, early high school, I would say. And I do, every book I read, I just write it down. So I go through all of the pages, and I do each year, I do the different book I've read. So yes, so I started it in the start of the school year of 2009, which would have been the beginning of my sophomore year. So the beginning of my sophomore year, I started doing it, and then I've just gone through and I've done a different list for each year. Some years I've read more than others, and it's kind of interesting to go back and look at it and be like, oh, this was like my senior year of college, and I can see how I maybe read less that year because I had so much going on, and then this year I didn't do anything, you know, and so it's just interesting, and I really enjoy it. And then I can also go back through, and so I went back through and I calculated out how many times I'd read Water for Elephants, and this was my 7th time reading it. I try and read it once a year, and so it's just really fun, and I like to be able to go back and see it, and I like to see the different books that I've read and be able to go back and just compare those. How often have I read ones? Because I do love to reread books, so it's fun to see how many times I've read it and how close in proximity I read things. And so really enjoyable, and I wanted to just share that with you of how I do that. I know that it's very old school of having a notebook where I write in it, when most people, I feel like, have probably moved to doing things electronically, but not me. So that's just, I wanted to share that with you all. So thank you so much for watching my video this week. Please subscribe and like my channel. Also, comment any of your suggestions below, anything that you're interested in or you'd like to see more of, and stay tuned for my next video.